I'm going to offer my apologies. The rest of the board will be up here. We needed a potty break. Sorry. They're on their way. Mike is here. Okay. I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7:25 p.m. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Mr. Rollins?
Here.
Ms. Mohammed?
Here.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Here.
Mr. Siegel?
Here.
Mr. Connor?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 7 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll now take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, I'd like to apologize for the late start. This board had 110 discipline packets to get through, and we wanted to make sure to take adequate time and not cut anybody short, so thank you very much for your patience in our arriving late. As we start each board meeting, it bears reminding that the mission of the Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in a first-class education for a changing world. And before we go any further, I want to thank Connor Childers. He works behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via YouTube live stream and Comcast Channel 20. I also wish to welcome the SSAC student Ella Gasparini from Guilford High School. Thank you so much for being here. Ella is part of the Superintendent's Student Council, basically, and we'll hear her comments about what it's been like to attend a couple of our meetings and what the business of the board is all about. We are now at the petitions and communications portions of our meeting, when we invite the public to make comments. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees the right of citizens to petition their government, as well as provides for the freedom of speech. Also, the Illinois School Code requires that there be a time at regular meetings and special meetings for public comment. Thus, we are following those mandates during this petitions and communications portion of our agenda. According to Board Policy 2.230, public comments portion of the meeting is limited to a total of 30 minutes. The board will not respond to the comments at this time. If it is appropriate, you will be contacted in a timely manner by staff in response to your questions. In order to allow sufficient time for the business of the board and to conduct our meetings in an efficient and effective manner, we are requesting that you comply with the guidelines that are posted, and each speaker will be allowed no more than 2 minutes to address the board. Since there are no more than 15 speakers, so you will have 2 minutes each. It is not appropriate to address individual board members or individual administrators or discuss matters that would otherwise be confidential in such open meetings. 2 names will be called at one time, the one whose turn it is to speak and the person who will speak next. When you are the second person, please come to the front, sit in the vacant chair. That way, we will be able to devote the maximum amount of time to public comment. If you look to your left, you'll see 2 digital clocks up on the wall. One shows the total time allotted to public comment. The other shows the total time for each speaker. We thank you for your interest and for your cooperation with our guidelines. Our first speaker tonight is Zimarski Parkisa, and you can help me if I've pronounced it incorrectly when you get up here. The second speaker is Pinky Langdon. And if you can come, I guess we don't have, well, it's not a far walk, we'll be good. Thank you for being here. And please pronounce your name correctly for me. Push the button, yeah.
Sorry. My name is Zamara Parkerson.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I go? Or? Okay. My name is Zamara Parkerson, and I am a senior at Auburn High School. I'm here today to present the petition that I have made for our graduation caps. I have 276 signatures in total, which consists of 102 seniors, 101 juniors, 46 sophomores, and 32 freshmen, and 10 staff members and all in support. I would like to make the difference of our graduation caps because everyone should have the opportunity to be creative in their own way and to express themselves on their caps for graduation. Everyone who graduates can have the opportunity to honor someone like their mom, dad, sister, or brother who has gotten them through their high school years. By allowing students to honor these close to them as well to promote themselves, it also allows family members in the stands the ability to pick out their loved ones on the best day of their lives. Most students who graduate high school and choose not to go to college, this could be their one and only graduation they attend. By allowing them of each student, you help to promote and create the memories that will last their lifetimes. All students that have signed this petition have agreed to the following guidelines: no racial slurs or cuss words, nothing towards religion, nothing towards someone's skin color, nothing towards anyone's condition or disability, nothing promoting drug or alcohol use, nothing gang related, and must be school appropriate. With these guidelines, I have one of my teachers, Dr. Woods, who is available to help. She has agreed to look over everyone's cap to make sure they have followed the guidelines and is 100% school appropriate. And for the ones who choose not to follow, will be provided with a plain black cap on graduation to walk the stage with. By following these simple yet effective guidelines, we are able to create a more substantive graduation for all involved. Each student spends their money to purchase their caps and gowns, many of which have to work longer hours to afford. Wouldn't it be nice to give them the ability to express themselves? Many high schools around the country have this line to allow students to decorate their caps during graduation, stating that it takes away their dignity and graduation ceremony. However, by decorating our caps, we stand out from the stands, allowing our family members to take pride in our achievements and allow us to display our achievements.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Next up is Pinky Langdon, and after that is Nina Giangeli.
Hi, everybody. Remember, I have a strong voice. I'm not here with malice. I just have a strong voice.
And you need to keep your mask on.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I wanted to bring up a topic of safe passage. I heard that there's an issue with that, of the overflow with the students. And I wanted to know, what plan do you have, if any, to resolve that? I wanted to know about the critical race theory. Do RPS has any intention of incorporating that into the curriculum? Disciplinary action towards the teacher at Guilford that is freely using the N-word. I brought this up in my last time I was here. I wanted to know, had you had the opportunity to address it? If so, what was the outcome? And then I wanted to know, when will RPS hold themselves accountable for the way that black and brown children are disciplined versus their white counterparts? This is very important because what you allow to happen to these children, you throw them into society, they end up in jail, dead. Kids can't take care of themselves, they're not functioning. So I think that accountability needs to start in this room. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here and sharing your views. Nina Giangeli, followed by Brad Kolak.
Hello, my name is Nina Gianangeli. I'm a former RPS student and I live in the community. Thank you for this opportunity to speak about discipline in Rockford Public Schools. I believe that RPS 205 should develop and execute a discipline policy that quickly identifies students who need support in terms of behavioral issues before they become problematic and disruptive. The system must be solution-oriented. I believe this because first, historically, the district uses a punishment system, including out-of-school suspension, expulsion, and expulsion in abeyance, without long-term success. The system identifies students who are disruptive but severs their connection to the school, offering few, if any, options of support to move to compliance with the system. The system does not resolve, but rather punishes. Punishment is easy, but accountability and repairing the harm require more supportive measures. Secondly, the district needs to identify students' behavioral issues early to provide interventions before behaviors become problematic. Once identified, the district needs to implement a system of specific interventions to support students as they learn to modify their disruptive behaviors. Finally, the district needs to collaborate with drug addiction programs to resolve behavioral issues that result from addiction issues, rather than punishment-based systems. Rockford Public Schools must implement a discipline system that solves issues rather than punishes so that students can learn to be productive members of their learning community. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to remind the public that we're going to be looking at the Student Code of Conduct in the next month, and anybody who has input from the community can keep an eye on when those meetings are on our website. Our last speaker is Brad Kolak.
Good evening. My name is Brad Kolak. I've been a school district teacher for 29 years. I've been a music teacher at Kishwaukee Elementary School all those years, and then most recently at Constance Lane. I have served as a Rockford teacher loyally, faithfully, and joyfully. I also believe in the Rockford 205 mission and their vision statement about making Rockford first choice among families as well as staff. And on my part, I think I've worked tirelessly to try to make that happen and make that a reality for all of us. But I have to tell you, all of that has crumbled recently, as within the last couple of months I was told that I will not be allowed to continue my position, a job that I love, teaching students that I love, alongside colleagues that I love, in a building that I love, in a district that I love and respect, because I will not and I cannot comply with the governor's mandate on COVID vaccination and testing. I submitted a religious exemption back in the first week of September, which detailed my religious beliefs, explaining how compliance with this, both the vaccine and the testing, violate my personal religious beliefs and are in violation of my conscience. It's become very clear over the past 2 months that you disagree with me. I've been placed on administrative leave until the year's end with some kind of uncertainty as the future after that. And so I'm standing here tonight before you and in front of anybody else that might listen on behalf of myself and others who might be in a similar circumstance. I'm here to urge you to try to reevaluate and reconsider what I believe is a slippery slope that you're standing upon by imposing this temporary mandate, which is issued by a temporary elected government official. You are ignoring existing state laws, federal statutes, and even the Constitution itself. You are at risk of losing valuable employees and parents by disregarding our beliefs and trampling our religious rights. I wish you please would reconsider your position on that matter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Man, Kish used to have those great concerts. You did a good job. We're now on to board member comments. I guess I just gave mine. Are there any other board members who would like to comment? Ms. Pearson?
Thank you. I received, and I want to acknowledge Mr. Earl Dotson Jr. I received some positive feedback from a school administrator. He was present during a crisis between a couple of young men, and he stepped up and stepped in to be a part of intervention. And I consider that going above and beyond given his current role. And it is always my endeavor to acknowledge those who go above and beyond. And frequently we hear the negative piece of what representatives from the main administration building is not doing. And so I just wanted to pause and acknowledge him for his efforts in going above and beyond. Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to miss any lights. Ms. Mohammed.
So I just want to take a brief moment to thank a few principals. I've been continuing on with my exploration of RPS schools. Being one of the newest board members, it's important for me to make sure that I'm being visible, that I'm learning more about what is happening in these buildings, and just making sure that also I am lending myself to be of assistance to the teachers and the staff. So at Jefferson High School, Mr. Rundle, thank you for opening your doors to me. At Lincoln Middle School, Mrs. Garrigan, thank you. At East High School, Mr. Parker, I appreciate you. At Roosevelt, thank you, Ms. Shippard, also for welcoming into your building. And lastly, I want to say thank you to Mrs. Baker at Jackson, which is not technically an RPS school, it is a charter school, but I especially enjoyed my time at Jackson because I learned so much about just the different internal systems that they have for encouraging students to achieve more in reading and math. They have African American history class, which I think is phenomenal. I think it speaks volumes to how important representation is, and just exploring just history as a whole in our schools. So again, I just want to thank all of those principals for opening your doors to me, and I hope that we can continue to work together.
Thank you. No other lights on? All right. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Jarrett, you have the floor.
Thank you, and I'm going to immediately turn it over to this month's representative of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. Just a reminder to everyone that's involved, each month we are picking 1 to 2 students from, we have a total of 15 students that are going to come visiting us throughout the course of the year. And in the month of December, it has been Ella Gasparini from Guilford High School. Ella had the chance to attend last week's Committee of the Whole meeting and is now going to make some comments during my time. Ella, the floor is yours.
So once again, hi, I'm Ella Gasparini. I'm a senior at Guilford High School, but I'm also a part of the Running Start program. So I attend Rock Valley full-time and will graduate with an associate's degree when I graduate high school in May. I'm also a part of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, Guilford's NHS, and I'm a part of Guilford's swim team. So today I wanted to talk about last week's discussion on if homeschool kids should be allowed to participate in RPS 205 activities, because due to my circumstances and being involved in different RPS activities, I think it's a great idea to open that up. So students don't always choose to be homeschooled. I know a variety of students who are homeschooled due to religious, medical reasons, and just because their parents have told them that they needed to be homeschooled. And because of this, they're missing out on so many opportunities that I know I've been provided through the RPS activities that I'm a part of, as well as the social connections that I know I've been able to make with other students and then even other adults through NHS and Superintendent's Advisory Council. Also, through NHS and SIC, I've learned a lot of teamwork and people skills that I wouldn't have learned if I was just sitting at home. So like I said, I am a part of all of these activities. And going along with that, they've helped me to meet a lot of new people, help out my community and meet lots of community members, and as well as interact with people who don't necessarily look like me, think like me, or have the same religious beliefs that I do. I know that in a homeschool environment, you're just around your family a lot and they look exactly like you since that's who you're related to. And a lot of the homeschool friends that I have are through their church, where they're only interacting with other people who have the same religious beliefs as them. However, being able to be a part of all of these different activities has prepared me for the real world in a career where I'll be able to interact with all different types of people. Also, being in Running Start has really opened my eyes to this, since I've been staying at home like a homeschool environment at just 16 and 17 years old. It was really hard to stay connected at first. However, being able to see my Guilford classmates and not feel like I was entirely alone really helped out. So I know that at SSAC, we talk a lot about ways to not only get our students and our community to talk highly about RPS 205, so what better way to continue to expand this positivity than to get homeschoolers and their families to also talk highly about RPS and the opportunities that it's providing for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ella. And again, we will continue to offer the opportunity for student voice to be shared directly with the board at the final board meeting of each month. Ella is our third speaker that has had the chance to address the board. And Ella, I appreciate you and your perspective very much. Thank you.
Well, and talk about a timely subject as we move on to our action items. We're going to start with the action items that proceeded through the Planning and Development Committee. Is there a motion and a second to approve item 5A, Board Policy 7.30, Students' Residence?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? This is the policy about allowing students who are transitioning is this one specific to middle to high school and elementary? Yes. Okay. So we had a conversation about it at last week's meeting. Seeing no lights, I'm going to ask the coordinator to call the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to approve the 5B, approval of tax levies?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes?
The motion passes unanimously.
Are there any other follow-up items from that committee?
No.
Okay. I did forget to ask, is there any other follow-up items from Planning and Development? No?
No.
Okay, thank you. How about we'll go through items that proceeded through the Governance Committee, which is the motion and second to approve Board Policy 7.40, non-public, non-graded school students, including homeschool students.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion on this policy change? Seeing none, I'll have the coordinator call the roll.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right, we're on to the consent portion of our meeting, which includes items previewed by the board committee chairs during the committee of the whole. So, items, are we missing one? The bullying, is there a motion and a second to approve item 6A? We didn't do, okay. 6B, I see the agenda's wrong. Board Policy 7.180, students preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask you, the coordinator, to call the roll.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right. I believe that is all of our policies that we were voting on. Thank you. Now we'll go on to the consent items that were previewed. So we have the payroll, accounts payable, purchase orders, air travel, monthly cash and investment report for October 2021, construction pay request log, RPS managed work change order logs, the financial results from October 2021, the RFP 22-15 for the full service vending, the IFB 2218, the wide format printer, the IFB 2219 kitchen ovens and stands, the Consortium for Educational Change, the Crisis Prevention Intervention, Dreambox Learning, and the Regional Office of Education for Flynn Middle School. Architectural and Engineering Services contract with Richard Johnson for roof replacement at Ellis and Lewis Lemon. Civil Engineering Services contract. I also have consent items from the Governance Committee as follows: the meeting minutes from the special board meeting on 11/16 and also from the 11/09 meeting, contract purchase orders, the IMRF benefit protection leave, the expense reimbursement for Ms. Mohammed, the resolution appointing Gregory Brown as school treasurer, bus driver training perfect attendance incentive in 2021-2022 school year, the internal audit charter, and the Freedom of Information log. Is there a motion and second to approve these consent items?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any consent items board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration?
7M.
7M being the Crisis Prevention Intervention District-wide proposal. Okay, and Ms. Pearson?
8H.
8H, which is the Freedom of Information log. Mr. Rollins?
7J.
7J, which is the wide format printer. Seeing no other lights, I'm going to ask the coordinator to call the roll on items not pulled from the consent agenda.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
We're going to take these in the order that they are on the agenda. So 7J, the IFB 2218 wide format printer. I'd take a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
And is there any discussion? Mr. Rollins?
I just pulled this because I'm always curious about this. You think of printers as being pretty fungible. There is a wide discrepancy in the bids that we got. And I'm delighted that we got such a low bid, but when I see that we get such low bids, I'm also a little bit concerned that we're getting what we think we're getting. So I want your assurance that we've looked at the bid and that they actually are meeting all of our specifications.
Actually, we're replacing a Muto printer right now, so it is very similar to the machine that we currently have that is not functioning due to age. We did allow substitutions to widen the net and allow more competition. A couple of companies offered their machines, and the best way to explain it is the Muto is kind of a work truck, and the other machines, they sell a lot more features. It's more of like a Cadillac.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thanks.
Ms. Pearson?
And I pulled this because
We're on the printer right now.
No
problem. We'll get to the Freedom of Information.
It's been a long day.
You betcha. You bet you. Okay, seeing no other lights, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll on the wide format printer.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion and a second for the Crisis Prevention Intervention District-wide proposal.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. And discussion, Mr. Siegel?
Thank you. I'm first going to start with reiterating your call to community input on our student code of conduct. Meetings will begin next month, if I am not mistaken, and those dates will be posted soon enough. I bring that up because item 7M is a contract with an organization called Crisis Prevention Intervention. Their aim is to help our staff do better, or to better understand how to resolve some of the social emotional issues that are existing in our buildings and find ways to mitigate a lot of the out-of-school exclusions. So the school district is making efforts in this area to improve the way discipline is handled. And I would like to take this opportunity to amplify the invitation for the community to really be involved also. This is a partnership. The school district definitely bears a responsibility for handling discipline in the most just and equitable way that it can. No question about that. But we also need help. We're getting help. We need partnership. We are going to run through literally almost 110 discipline packets tonight. The bulk of these are for group violence. Can't get into any details, but we definitely have been conditioned, I think, to solve problems in the most outrageous way possible. And why wouldn't we be conditioned? We see it in our news, we see it in our entertainment, our sports, our politics, our everything. We got to yell it to be heard. It would be interesting to see if we ever get a discipline packet of a kid responding to an excess of decency. I don't think it ever has happened, and nor do I think it will. But this is my call to people to start focusing on ways to deal with a lot of our problems with its roots in decency. Finding a way to solve our problems. You know, if you have a spectrum of solving problems from silence to violence, let's move a little closer if we can to silence. Violence is not the way to solve our problems. They only escalate and bring more violence. So I look forward to our contract with CPI. I hope that it is successful. I hope that we grow a culture of being able to address a lot of these issues in a way that keeps our students in the class, that highlights their dignity. And I hope that the community can respond by making sure that they're also focused on just better ways of solving our problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody have any questions? Mr. Rollins.
Yeah, I just want to agree with absolutely everything that Mr. Siegel said. And I want to respond to a comment that was made during the community comments, which is that the accountability starts in this room. Accountability starts in the home, and we don't hear about that enough. And having just sat through 2.5 hours of seeing what happens when you have no accountability in the home, it would be nice to start hearing people talk about accountability in the home as well. Now, we have to meet kids where they're at. And I understand, you know, the kids, a lot of the kids that we're dealing with, they don't have great home lives and they don't have good role models in their lives. And that's why we have to do things like, you know, enter into this agreement. And we have to learn that this is a necessity for us. We have to learn how to handle things better at the schools. But if the kids came to us with better role models, that wouldn't be as big of an issue for us. And at some point, we have to teach kids. We're a school district. We're supposed to be teaching kids. And more, we are instead hiring consultants to come in and teach us how to help kids who don't know how to behave. And that takes time, it takes money, it takes energy, it takes time away from teaching kids. We put more and more expectations on our staff at all levels. I hear over and over again, the adults didn't do enough to stop something. The adults didn't do enough. The kids aren't expected to stop anything. You know, the kids aren't expected to behave themselves or to control themselves, but our adults who, once upon a time, their job was to educate kids, it's their job to change the behavior of the students. That's the direction we're going. We have to do it. I understand we have to do it, but it is more and more difficult to educate kids and teach them English language and math and science and all of the other things that we're supposed to be teaching them, when instead we're teaching them how to behave. So that's my addition to the conversation.
Ms. Pearson.
You know, I couldn't agree with both Dave and Mr. Siegel and Mr. Rollins more. I would like to add this. What we have to understand is we are living in a different time. And in the time that we're living in has presented different scenarios. At the end of the day, it is our responsibility to stay current with the times that we're living in and be strategic in how we are providing intervention for our children. I can't stress that enough. And I'll add to this when it's my turn on the item that I pulled. So we have to, since the home life was mentioned, we have to understand, and maybe we haven't paid much attention, but we have 3 generations under age 40. Now, is that RPS 205's problem? The harsh reality is it is not. However, we have to deal with the impact of it every day. That pushes us to a place of critical thinking for intervention. I have mentioned before in the past the need and the utilization of Title I funding. And I've also asked that we work and improve our work with school administrators that choose not to use Title I funding to the degree of getting to core issues of our students' behavior. So the burden of redirecting the behavior, in addition to the accountability that begins in home, is for us to come to the table and really deal with the issues that we're faced with. I have said in the past how things have come up to us in terms of curriculum that was voted on 10 years ago, which sends a message that we are not current or we're not developing. There's a stagnant something somewhere, and we must deal with it. We don't have an option because things are not necessarily going to get better, but we must be equipped to deal with what presents us daily.
Wow. Thank you all for sharing that. We're going to go back, and I'm going to call the roll, have the facilitator call the roll on the Consortium for Educational Change for Flynn Middle School contract. No?
It was that.
Crisis intervention. Let me go back. I turned my page. Apologies. I was in there with you guys all that time too, so I'm sorry. Crisis prevention intervention district-wide proposal is what we're on right now. I apologize, which is item 7M. Please call the roll.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. I'll take a motion in a second for 8H, the Freedom of Information Log.
So moved. Second.
And discussion, Ms. Pearson?
Yes, so I noticed when I review the Freedom of Information log, there's inquiries in regards to race and Equip for Equality specifically asked for the highest level of offense per student, total number of actual expulsions per each offense, level category, that is 22-24. So there's a list of indications here. And I have to piggyback on my own words in terms of our desperate need to really deal with issues where it relates to expulsions. It is much easier to expulsion will not change behavior. And again, we are faced with this challenge of having to deal with behavior, because as time go on, times are going to become more challenging given the issues that are going on in society. So that puts our school district in a position that we really have to pay attention. And I know that there's rules and regulations that is in place for a purpose. And maybe we need to bring administrators. You have some school administrators who have gone above and beyond to redirect, to meet the needs of those students that are faced with some disparities. And so we need to bring our administrators together to help solve this issue, because some administrators are really strong in that area, and others would rather expel, which isn't, we still have a responsibility to educate our children. For an example, there was a post on Facebook. This young man graduated from RPS 205. However, when he was in RPS 205, his mother was constantly called to the school for his behavior. This young man now holds a master's degree and is a counselor in Chicago public schools because he states that he could not deal with the racism, this is his words, in RPS 205. So I am pleading that we change the narrative of our district. We cannot afford to lose quality individuals because of our narrative. And as I close, you all gonna catch that in a minute. We must understand that whatever situation our kids are in today, and although we use data and statistics, we cannot count them out because they can't read by 3rd grade. But we must go to that extreme to help identify our students' learning style so they all can be successful. If we miss this, we will be here 10 or 20 years later, not necessarily me, having the same conversation or the same topics. So we have a huge burden on us to change the narrative of our district. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing no other lights, I'm going to ask the coordinator to call the roll on the Freedom of Information log.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We're now on to the closed session consent agenda, including the following. The appointment of Sar Al-Zubi as the 12-month bilingual multicultural dean. The HR organization report and addendum. The notice of charges and dismissal of a tenured teacher administrator, Matthew Parker. And the following discipline items. 4407 is expelled for the remainder of 21-22 school year. 4408 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4409, the student is not expelled. 4410 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4411 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4412 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4414 is expelled for the remainder of the 2021-2022 through the first semester of the 2022-2023 school year. 4415 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4418 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year through the first semester of the 22-23 school year. 4419 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4420 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4422 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4423 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4424 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year through the first semester of the 22-23 school year. 4426 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4428 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year through the entire 22-23 school year. 4429 is expelled. 4429's expulsion is held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion and abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4430 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4427 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4425 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4413 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4417 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4431 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4432 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4433, the expulsion is held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion and abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4434 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4436 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4435 is expelled for the remainder of the first semester of the 21-22 school year. 4416 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 through the first semester of the 22-23 school year. 4437 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4438 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4439 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. The following EIAs will be upheld. 1090, 1091, 1092, 8313, 8314, 8315, 8316, 8318, 8319, 8320, 8321, 8323, 8324, 8325, 8327, 8328, 8329, 8330, 8331, 8332, 8334, 8335, 8336, 8337, 8338, 8339, 8340, 8341, 8342, 8343, 8344, 8345, 8346, 8347, 8349, 8350, 8351, 8352, 8353, 8354, 8355, 8356, 8358, 8359, 8360, 8361, 8362, 8363, 8365, 8366, 8367, 8368, 8369, 8280, 8317, 8322, 8326, 8333, 8357, 8370, 8371, 8373, 8374, 8372, 8375, 8376, 8348, 8364, 1093, 8378, 8379, 8377. 1094, 8381, 8332, 8360, 8380, 8383, and 8384. There is no 8360, correct? Is there a motion and a second to approve the closed session consent items?
So moved. Second.
Are there any closed session consent items board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Ms. Pearson.
A through D.
Which number are you on?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That is 10. A, B, C, D.
Okay.
10, G through O. G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O.
Mm-hmm.
Q. U, V, W. Y, Z, B, B, C, C. I think that's it.
Okay. Can I take those as a group?
You may.
Okay. Thank you.
Should make you suffer.
Seeing no other lights, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll on the consent agenda items not pulled.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Did you
Yes, except the ones I pulled. I lost my
This is, yes. The one,
Is that it?
yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right, I'll now take a motion and a second for the items that were pulled from the closed consent. Would you like me to read them off to you, or? We've got them. 10A through D, G through O, Q, U through W, Y, Z, and B, B, and CC. All right. I take a motion and a second for those.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. No discussion, so please call the roll.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
No.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 no.
Okay. Other business, new business agenda recommendations to be brought to the board. I am going to ask Dr. Jarrett, because I can't remember who does this one, but we had a speaker tonight speak to graduation caps, and is that a per school, or do we do a district-wide decision on that? And I don't think that comes to the board. I believe that is a principal's choice.
That's regulated through Mr. Gallagher and the all high school principals meeting. They typically make those decisions as a group. So he was here today, and he can
So you'll take that
follow up with an all high school principal meeting.
We have our December meeting this Thursday, so I've already added it to the agenda.
All righty, thank you. And we've already directed other speakers about the meetings that we have coming up on discipline? And is there any other business to bring to the board? I hope everybody has a lovely holiday break, and I thank you so much for the time and effort that you put in for all that pay.
Do we vote to?
What are we voting for? We're going to vote to adjourn.
Yes.
Oh, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you so much, everyone.